All right, everybody, and welcome back to the 9 Years podcast. We are in festive mood, as you can hear, as you would expect at this time of year. Maybe not so festive on the pitch at the moment, though, with a fourth defeat in 5 at Exeter in midweek. And Stu and I will talk about that in the main, but alongside that Exeter game came news of illness and injury. We have to talk about that as well. And just before we started recording, finances again, but it gives us an opportunity to reflect on our podcast from a couple of weeks ago where we spoke about ownership models and some of the feedback we got from you guys to that. Richard Osman Foyo's festive House of Games comes back, and we'll look around the third tier as usual. But Stu, I don't think I've introduced us yet, have I? To any new listeners, I am Nick Draper. I am joined as always by the face of the BBC Sport website, Mr. Stuart Deacons. Good evening, Stu.
It feels like we haven't had a podcast for ages. 2 in a week.
Twice in a week. It's crazy. We are more regular than Danilo Orsi goals. It's mental.
Ouch.
But yes, I completely forgot where I was going with that for a second there. Oh yes, that is right. Before we get into anything, can I just say, for the first time on the podcast this week, because I'm going to say it many times, I hate 12:30 kickoffs. Hate them. And what are we lumbered with this coming Saturday against Playersfield Town, who travel down from Mansfield? But, you know, what's annoyed me, and this is why I'm bringing it up at the start, Stu, is because just going onto the official website, just to reflect on a couple of articles on there, which we'll come to very shortly, of course, there's an article entitled Matchday Guide. Join us early for Wimbledon versus Mansfield. We don't have a choice. It's a 12:30 kickoff. How early do you want us to get there? Like, joining you early for 12:30, 9 o'clock? What time do you want us there? It's not going to happen, I can tell you that much. Crazy, ridiculous scheduling. So a game can be played for TV viewers that don't exist. Do you know why? Because if anyone's not at the football, they're out doing their Christmas shopping because it is that weekend. And to compound this, as I look ahead to the weekend, not that I care, as I've made abundantly clear every single week we do a recording, Stu, but I had to look at the fixtures for this weekend. And how many Premier League games are there tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock?
Hardly any, because they all play on the Sunday, don't they, now?
2.
Yeah. It's European,
it's
isn't it? It's all the teams that play in Europe, which is basically enough everybody in the Premier League, then play on the Sunday, I know.
But Burnley versus Fulham, 5:30. Who the fuck is watching that? Seriously.
Well, do you know what? I was going to say, obviously, the 12:30s I don't mind. And I'll tell you the reason I don't mind them, because by the time I've done all my press duties, I can then watch Soccer Saturday in the 1889 lounge and see. Do you know what? I love Soccer Saturday. I love all the results coming through. Do you know what I mean? So I don't mind 12:30s, but it is a bloody early start.
Which I agree with you to an extent, but then when it gets to 3 o'clock, there are no games to actually follow because they've all been moved to 12:30 or 5:30.
Well, that's true. That's true. And also, we may challenge this, but we do very well in the 12:30s. We've got a very good record in the 12:30 kickoffs.
Oh, this is true.
I don't want to jinx it, but we have. I think every time I've gone into the lounge after a 12:30, I've been in a good mood because we haven't lost, and I can enjoy like when you've got a point in the bag or 3 points in the bag, you can then look at everyone else around you and go, "Oh, we've got our points. What are you going to do?" So let's hope maybe that's a bit of a good omen for us.
Fingers crossed. The contradiction to this, Stu, is, of course, the one time I do like an early kickoff is on Boxing Day when we used to have the midday kickoffs, and they've gone now.
Yeah.
Like, just everything's done to annoy me, I think. I'm certain of this now. 8 o'clock tomorrow night, Arsenal versus Wolves. I mean, that's going to be, if you want to witness a live murder, then that is what that'll be. It'll be a massacre. But I don't know who's actually going to be watching it. Falkirk versus Hearts, 8 o'clock in the Scottish Premier League. I mean, really, what are we even doing?
I did see the FA Cup televised games have been released. A surprise, I don't know if you know this, Nick, there's a major surprise. Man United are on TV.
Man United in the FA Cup?
I couldn't believe it when I saw it.
I've not seen that for years.
No. But Wrexham, of course, are on against Nottingham Forest. I did think Birmingham may well be, but they're not. But there was, I did notice the Wolves fans, a couple of my Twitter feed, that Wolves fans are looking at boycotting. They want to boycott the FA Cup third round. They got Shrewsbury at home. And then there was people on their Twitter going, no, we can't do that because that, Shrewsbury need the money from us that we would give in a turnstile. But obviously they want to protest against their ownership.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. All these games on TV, I think 2 Premier League, I was in shock when I saw Man United were on TV yet again.
Yeah, but in fairness, it's one of those classic FA Cup potential giant killing fixtures, Manchester United versus Brighton.
Like Exeter, well, forgive me. I think when Man City played Salford last year, I think that was a live game.
Yeah, but that's Salford, isn't it? Because of a class of '92.
But some Exeter fans were like, why have we not been? Because I think it's 150 grand. I think is the TV money.
Yeah.
So that to Man United is a drop in the ocean, even though their financial results have been released and they're losing shitloads.
Yeah.
But yeah, the FA just FA grassroots football, supporting football for all. Yeah.
Thing is, with Man City Exeter should not be on TV because Man City at home to Exeter. When Exeter got Man United all those years ago, Man United at Old Trafford, that wasn't actually, believe it or not, shown live on TV.
Yeah,
that was a Saturday 3:00, and Exeter got the 0-0, which earned them a replay. And that's when they got the TV game and all the extra income. So they just have to get a replay, Stu, at Man City. That's all they need. Oh, no, that's right.
Do you know what's interesting, actually, as well? And it's the Exeter, I saw something on the Exeter feed, obviously, because we were playing Tuesday, so there was but they reckon the Man City game is worth about £250,000 to them at least. I'm sitting there thinking, that isn't a lot.
Not anymore, no.
No, and when you think that the actual TV money is 150 grand, so effectively being on TV would actually give them another half of their potential income. Yeah. I sat there and thought, do you remember when we played Tottenham and we played, I remember Eric at the time saying, actually, do you know what? Because the ticket prices were reduced, etc. Actually, people thinking we're going to make $500,000 or whatever. Actually, it isn't that. And your replays, like you say, no replays.
No replays anymore for reasons. Because, of course, the reasons are because we have to fit 74,000 teams in European competitions of varying importance, as in none, for TV reasons. Anyway, I think we've established a point there, but I'm glad you mentioned Exeter because, yes, Tuesday night at the real St. James's Park, the only one that I have stepped foot inside, and for the time being will ever step foot inside, but we're not going to go down that political tunnel right at this moment. Exeter City, Jack McMillan with the winner for them 10 minutes from time. Not sure if he's any relation to a former Prime Minister, quite possibly. With a much changed Wimbledon squad, with illness and injury affecting the camp. Aaron Sassu not involved at all. We now know that is because of injury. We assume Isaac Ogundiri and Miles Hippolyte were on the bench because of illness. You'd expect them to have started. Yeah. Otherwise, Harry Hedges and Junior Akeng on the bench to make up numbers. We still couldn't fill the bench, but that's fine because you don't need 7 subs, as we talk about, and we will talk about this a bit later as well. You only need 3. So that's not so much of a problem. But disappointing defeat. How much do we put down to the illness and the injuries and the changes in shape we had to make?
Yeah, I think you have to take it into consideration. The cynic, the Johnny Jackson out fans, which are still there, just a little bit quieter. We'll probably put it down to excuses. I think it's right for Johnny to say it. So I think you have to be blunt you have to be honest. And our performance levels didn't look great. It was interesting because obviously we didn't know that until after the game, even though you felt, there must be something going on for us to have 2, kids on the bench effectively. But I did notice, I think Omar went down with cramped, Patrick Bauer went down with cramped. And it's not something you'd expect to see at this stage of the season because they should be match fit. So it sort of made me think, actually, do you know what, if there is some illness and there's some players a bit under the weather, then sometimes your fatigue does come in a bit quicker. But I think you have to take into account it was a lacklustre performance. And to be fair, it should have probably been 0-0. I don't think there was a clear winner based on chances, etc. But it was also one of those that when we did concede, we just didn't have the energy levels to really put on any sort of any sort of like comeback.
Was the game as bad as has been described to me? I didn't see it. Looking at the match stats, it suggests it was really quite poor. Is that fair?
Well, yeah, and also the actual red button. So all the obviously midweek Sky show all the EFL games, and they're available on their red button as such, and all the actual games on the red button went down. I think around about the 40th minute. My feed went down on the 40th minute, and I have to say I wasn't overly disappointed that it had. I wasn't rushing to try and get it back on. So I think I probably missed about I think the last 5 of the first half and probably first 15, but didn't look like I missed anything. And it was just, do you know what? I was sitting there thinking, if we can take a draw from here, I'll take that. Points are not points, they amount up, don't they, eventually? But yeah, they would concede. But it wasn't a great game.
Had the stream actually crashed? Because I've been caught with this before where I thought the picture is frozen and I've turned off everything and switched it back on again to reboot it. And it was nothing wrong with the actual stream. It was just that Liam Trotter was in possession.
No, Joe, I did look on social medias and stuff, and everyone was going, "Oh, mine's crashed," and
Okay.
yeah, it was red button games because I could get all the other games because there was obviously Champions League going on as well. So my Sky box was picking on. I haven't got a Sky box anymore. I've got Sky Glass, so my Sky TV was picking up all the others, but I couldn't get them. But like I say, I wasn't rushing around trying to find a way of getting the feedback as if we were going to score. I sort of sensed that we weren't.
The goal itself, poor goal to concede. Was there a foul on Riley Harbottle in the build-up?
I didn't feel so. I think he just got rolled. We are aggressive, aren't we, on the press and stuff like that? And I think he just got rolled. My main disappointment was, once their player down the wing got in, there was 3 against 3 in the box, and we just defensively they still got a shot off, which you probably would expect, but you have to think Nathan Bishop should do better. And the annoying thing is, if he doesn't get a touch, I think Joe Lewis has gone on the line and probably clears it off the line. But it's just, it's a frustrating goal to lose in a game that really no one's doing enough to win it. The funny thing is that actually when we scored, Exeter all of a sudden looked really nervous, like really anxious in the way they were playing because they haven't won many games at home. So it's sort of in a way you wish they scored a bit earlier because they got, we got some chances on the back of it, but nothing really that you felt. I never felt that we were going to get that chance to make it a draw.
Just looking at the last couple of league games, Wigan, we took the lead in, but then we conceded very shortly afterwards. Obviously, Huddersfield, where we retook the lead on 2 occasions shortly after conceding. So maybe Exeter are just reciting a trend in the division where teams concede score goals and then just immediately go on the back foot. So tight is the league table that every win, every point is so important. They are nervous about letting these things slip. Do you know what would have allayed their fears slightly? Is the fact that Daniel Orsi was off the pitch because there was our goal threat gone as soon as he left. And you might think I'm being a little bit mean here, but we were talking about this before the game. We were saying that there's a potential that Sasu goes back into the starting 11 alongside Omar. And the point here for me is the lack of pace is a problem because it takes away so much of a threat. And again, this is not to have a go at Orsi, okay? Because I have no problems with Dan Orsi whatsoever. He gives his all. There's no questions of effort or application, whatever. It's just doesn't fit. And the lack of pace up front is a big problem for us. I think you saw it exemplified. It wasn't actually Orsi, it was Omar when we did manage to get a chance and he managed to get a run in on goal. Just did not have the pace to get away from the defenders, and he ended up having to take the shot perhaps from an angle and a distance he wouldn't have chosen to. If that had been Sasu or Hackford, I know people are listening saying, if it was Sasu, who knows what would have happened after that, especially after his cameo at Huddersfield. But certainly Hackford as well, they'd have been in on goal and probably scored, to be fair.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing that I found about the game was that we started the game quite passive. We didn't press as high up the pitch, but towards the end of the first half, what I could see, we stepped up a little bit, and it looked like we went a high press. There was times it was 5 against 5 in terms of goalkeeper passing it out. So it was like, in a way, either we were trying to stay in the game, like, kill the game off a little bit in the first half, and then maybe press higher towards the end of the first half. And to be fair, second half we did press higher on them. So whether that was a tactic or whether that was a strategy because we just didn't feel maybe our team could last the 90 minutes. As we've said before, it's a 5-sub game now, isn't it? And when you have a weaker bench and you don't, I haven't got a major issue not filling up the bench, to be honest. At an away game, there might have been a case that we had another body that travelled and then wasn't well, so we probably did take enough down there. If it's at home, there should be no reason why we don't fill a bench, because we can always bring a kid in or something like that. But effectively, with the goalkeeper, we had 5 subs, and it looked, from what I understood, that Miles Hippolyte and Ogadir couldn't play as long with it, and I think that was just I think that's going to be our biggest problem, that we just can't change the game and freshen the game up as much as we want. And it's been noted on a few other podcasts that I've been listening to, but the goals that we conceded in the last, between the 76 and 90 minute is becoming alarming now. 11 in total. I've got a feeling that's got to be probably one of the worst in the league. Yeah. 4 at home. So 4 at home. So 7 away from home. And that you can't look past it and go, that's just unlucky. It could also be a case of subs impacting games, and the squad strength and depth starting to impact us.
Yeah, and I think it's also a little bit potentially of quality in the division. And we talk about finances and budgets and where our budget is in this league, and teams are spending almost 4 times as much on players than we can. And with that, you expect them to have a high quality of player, certainly in attacking positions. And if you are a more defensive team, you get tired having to defend and defend and defend. And we came a cropper against this. It was a problem early in the season. We flagged it early in the season, if you remember, because Luton was a late goal, Cardiff was a late goal. Reading didn't count, but you say still scored a late goal. So it was happening. Bradford, I think, was a late winner as well. So it's been happening. Port Vale, we conceded late. And maybe that is just a quality thing. But also, as you say, depth.
Yeah, it is. Look, we're not a high possession team. There's no, possession-wise, we're probably, 30, 40%. Look at games like against Huddersfield, we spent most of the time without the ball. And when we do attack, we attack quick. So eventually mentally you're tired, because obviously you're trying to cover the spaces, and physically, the team that has the ball doesn't travel as far. That's but that's how we play. Nothing wrong in that, but it would impact you when you don't have your squad depth. So Johnny was saying that we've still got a bit of the bug going around at the moment, so it's going to impact us for a little while at the moment. It's a bit worrying.
One thing we haven't mentioned, and I was meant to, sorry, earlier when we spoke about the goal, Riley Harbottle in the build-up to the goal, but almost playing where Steve Seddon's role, because Steve Seddon had come off with about 15 minutes to go.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with that. I don't know if that was an injury. Again, I was struggling to really keep the will to live. I don't know whether that was an injury or tactical.
Surely not tactical. You wouldn't take Seddon off, would you?
No, we went to 4 at the back. Right. We did go 4 at the back on that. So that's why I just wonder whether it was a tactical change. However, he's been, as we've said, he's been our best player, isn't he? So either he was down, maybe, whether he couldn't play 90 because of his fitness, it might have been one of the people that had the flu. Because there's definitely, look, Jake Reeves didn't play well again. That's no doubt about it. But we do that sometimes when playing the 2 in the middle. But again, just the players you expect to have those levels, and especially, Reevesy and Smith in the middle, the energy levels needs to be high. And it just, like I say, you don't want to use excuses, but I think it showed.
Jake Reeves did come off for Hippolyte with about 5 minutes to go. There was no word on Seddon in Johnny Jackson's interview came out early today, Friday, which, you can't, who knows? Can't read into that either way, to be honest with
No.
you. If there was an injury, we're not going to admit it at this stage. So we'll know. I suppose we'll find out tomorrow morning when the team news arrives at
Well, yeah.
11:15 in the morning.
And the problem is, we can't show our hand. Like, I know people moan, why we don't find out about injuries, but I disagree with it. I think you don't show your hand. Why say Sassu's injured and give Exeter? Exeter would have looked and gone, this player's probably going to start because he scored 4 in. We haven't. Being a fan-owned club doesn't mean that you should know everything, because ultimately that you do have to. So yeah, maybe we are just keeping coy, with it, and there might be some surprise team news on tomorrow morning, as you say.
Sassu might be playing. It might be an elaborate ruse to throw Playersfield off the scent. Who knows? Anyway, well, that's where we were at. Anyway, the 4 of the bottom 5 won on Tuesday night, which didn't help our cause. Some people might argue the only other team in the bottom 5, Port Vale, didn't play. And the league is getting very, very tight. The great thing from our perspective is that we are still closer to the playoffs than we are to the bottom 4. And there was a scenario with results in the week that could have seen us fall, I think, as low as 12th or 13th in the table. So we stayed in 9th place. We look at Blackpool winning on Wednesday 3-0 away at Rotherham, so they keep themselves in the real cluster of teams from Mansfield down. So Mansfield down to Plymouth in 23rd, that are separated by 3 points. But Rotherham, you think, 15th in the league, we're doing quite well, but haven't won in 4 now. And do you know what I mean? There's teams below us, closer to the relegation positions, that are struggling in the same way as we are in terms of getting results. So that we've just got that little buffer at the moment, which does help us out massively. But illness, injury aside, we ourselves, as we say, what are we now? 4 defeats in 5, winless in 5. Squad depth an issue. And then we haven't even mentioned, by the way, I said Hippolyte came on for Jake Reeves, and all this talk about injuries and illness and stuff. Sam Hutchinson again, no mention. So where's he disappeared to? I'm assuming Brodie Hughes has died on his way back to his home planet, because no one is mentioning him whatsoever.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Look, the problem is when you look at a league, Mansfield, we're going to review Mansfield, but they're 4 points behind us. You have to think Peterborough, Blackpool and Plymouth are going to spend in the window. I don't see them finishing there. So it sort of suggests, and our biggest, yes, we are 9th, but our biggest problem is our goal differences was also -3. And when it's so tight down there, I'm concerned. I'm concerned at the moment because, we're not picking up enough points. We're not even picking up single points. That's our biggest problem. And our home form, I'm trying to think the last time we won at home, but I don't think we won at home for a month or so at least. And our home form was our fortress, wasn't it? Obviously, last time out we lost to Wigan. But yeah, I can't off the top of my head think the last time we won at home, but it's a good month, maybe 2 months. It's a difficult point. And the thing that we said beginning of the season when we were winning was we were just getting points on the league table for when we hit our bad patch, which we all knew, but the bad patch is going on longer than what we'd want at the moment.
Last home win was Saturday, the 27th of September against Wycombe Wanderers.
Wow. Yeah.
Was that a 12:30 kickoff?
That would have been. See, I told you, it's at 12:30. It's at 12:30. Don't worry, we were going to win tomorrow. I've already made my mind up. You've changed my mind, even though we're going to have Brodie Hughes on the bench. I apologise. Nothing wrong with Joe. There's nothing against Brodie Hughes. It's just where we are.
He has just disappeared without a trace. No one knows what's going on. No one mentions him. No one talks about it.
There's going to be a documentary on it. Who's seen Brodie Hughes? Maybe that's what a game we can play. Who's seen Brodie Hughes?
The strange case of Brodie Hughes. It's very, very odd. We wanted to talk. You talked about finances there and the problems we're going to have perhaps in January, and I will get onto that next. Just, was there anything else in the league that took your eye from the week?
No, Plymouth winning at Wycombe. I saw some of the highlights on that. Plymouth certainly rode their luck, but maybe their fans will probably say that they deserve that bit of luck. Cardiff winning at Stevenage. Stevenage are starting to move down the table a little bit. Huddersfield drawing at Northampton. Yeah, so not overly. It was a full program, wasn't it? But yeah, I'll say
nearly.
Nearly. The only game that went was Port Vale, Bradford.
I don't know, because Wigan didn't seem to play. Have I completely?
I think they played the day after. Did they play the day after? No, they didn't, did they? It was
so.
Blackpool winning 3-0 at Rotherham. You've got to be concerned. But then, they brought a new manager in, and this is the thing, isn't it? It's that, these teams, Blackpool in this league are a big team. They brought in Ian Everett, who'd done well at Bolton. You don't think he's going to do a bad job there. And they also have struggled with injuries. Again, they're getting a lot of, and it always the way, by the way, when a new manager comes in, that somehow the players that have been injured for a little while all of a sudden just start reappearing.
Funny that.
It's funny that, do you know what I mean? As if they've sort of said, "Oh, do you know what? I think I've still got a niggle. I'll wait for the manager to go. Oh, I'm available now. I'll play."
Yeah,
it always happens, doesn't it? It can't be a coincidence. But yeah,
it's like Riley Highball getting injured in the build-up to goals.
Yeah, he looked like he'd been shot, and all of a sudden, then he just jumped up again. Do you know what? The magic sponge. Who needs a magic sponge nowadays?
Oh man, I love the days of the magic sponge. That was brilliant. That's when football was football and men were men, not players.
It's when you play Sunday football. It's freezing. You're injured, and someone run on with a sponge, right? And they have no idea what to do with a sponge, and you would just get up because you'd be like, "You're going to freeze me to death."
Yeah. It was from my youth playing football on a Saturday morning. It was the magic sponge and quarters of oranges, and that was it.
We had one Sunday match where actually someone forgot to fill the bucket up and then run on and realised they had no water in
it. Amazing.
Sunday football, right, is such. Some of the memories I've got from Sunday football are just, yeah. But I still think some of the kids nowadays, they're a bit pampered, like we had one choice of boots. We were lucky to get a pair of boots. But yeah.
They don't know they were born, Stu. They do not know they are born. You and we used to live in a cardboard box in the middle of the road.
Just taking all the scraps. But yeah.
But yes. I'm not going to make any jokes about taking scraps in the squad at the present.
But yeah, Riley Harbottle made an amazing recovery after the goal. So we are pleased for the magic sponge effect.
I love that. The magic sponge effect there should be a podcast called The Magic Sponge Effect, or it should be like a TV show on Channel 4 hosted by Justin Lee Collins. And there's a name you probably haven't heard in years.
Who's going to have the magic sponge today?
There we go. That could be Saturday morning kids TV game. Who knows? So many places we can go with this. I think we should have a spin-off of the 9 Years podcast called The Magic Sponge Effect. Financial effects are slightly more serious, and we have an update which published on the official website late Friday. Doesn't seem to be massively different to what was released not so long ago that we spoke about here on the podcast. There's just some extra details in terms of specifics on numbers in particular areas, and a little bit just more of a warning about the situation we're in. Stu, what took your eye chiefly from this update?
Yeah, there was a couple actually. I've actually just noticed one other that I've just noticed. An interesting line around about the cash debt and overall financial picture. It does actually say here, which is an interesting thing. The stadium and other fixed assets are valued at 29.2 million after I can't say that word. After depreciation. Depreciation, whatever the word.
You said it correctly, depreciation.
Yeah. It just feels like an official word that I shouldn't be using. But when you subtract what the club still needs to pay, our debts, our liabilities, the group's net assets is valued at 18.6 million. So I think it's quite an interesting thing because and I know people don't want to put any charges on the ground if we were going to, if I'm saying, I don't know, just top of my head, we're going to do a training ground or we're going to pay for a new stand and we had to use the ground as security. It's interesting to know what the ground is worth on that side of it. So that's quite interesting. The average attendance, I think what you and I both saw was that you could actually compare our average attendance along with how many shirts have been sold for last season. It's effectively everyone that's come into the ground has bought a shirt. Which, kudos to Matt Haylock and his team within there because, also Mark Jones for designing such great kits. Let's be fair, if you can't find a kit, I say this on the tour, if you can't find a kit you don't like, you know, if you don't like any of the kits, you've got 6 kits to choose from. If you can't, you know, 3 goalkeepers, 3. If you can't find one you don't like, I'll be amazed. But, you know, when you think the 2022-23 season, we sold 4,400 shirts. And then last season sold 7,400. That, again, I don't know what the comparison is. It'd be interesting to actually see what the percentage. So, you know, I'm just saying, like a Bradford who get 20,000, you know, I don't think they sold 20,000 shirts. But it'd be interesting to see what percentage of attendance versus shirt sales. It's just an amazing effort.
Mm. But doesn't this show the predicament we are in? Because these numbers, in terms of the money that we are well, we're not making money. We're losing substantial amounts of money. But you know what I mean? The money we are taking and bringing into the club is up and up and up on every metric by the sounds of it, apart from player sales, which we know about, we've spoken about at length before. And yet we are still in this position where the club are just reiterating these points about current structure is not, well, they changed the wording slightly, reliably sustainable in the Football League, and that we will have problems in ahead, especially next summer, where they say the financial picture, there's forecast cash flow pressure is the phrase they've used. Cash flow pressure sounds like an album title from Hardfire. But then it comes up with this interesting line, this very interesting line. The situation has not changed. This is in reference to next summer, but we have a short-term funding option available should we need it. And I am led to believe, Stu, that this is going to be Terry Skiverton doing an OnlyFans.
Do you know what's concerning, right, is that we had 1.3 million cash in the bank. And bear in mind, these are financial, that data is up until the end of June this year, end of the financial year. So we had 1.3 million pounds.
Oh, I see what you're saying, sorry.
Yeah, so we had 1.3 million in the bank at that point. If we are saying we have got a short-term funding option, why do we need it? Because we've got 1.3 in the bank, or have we? Do you get what I mean? That's my thinking. You know, if you want to take a short-term funding option, why do we need to take it? You know, that's my worry. You know, is that a John Green person? You know, it's vague, isn't it? You know, it was in the actual financial report. You know, it was in there, and we've got to say, you know, we're still a going concern. So when the auditors look at it, you know, we're good to go for another 12 months, but we are an ongoing concern. That funding thing has been a little bit slipped in, isn't it? It's not loads been made of it, but it does concern me. If, you know, do we not have the money then to, I don't know, what we're going to spend that money on?
Maybe it's just that cash in the exchange. Maybe that is it. Maybe that is it. That we just dip into that little fund of money that we have got. I don't know. I have no answers to this one, I'm afraid. As you say, is there somebody waiting to invest it? I mean, it does come right after a sentence about the lead up to the 50+01 vote that we've had in the past and will come again. Is there somebody in the background just waiting around that's got ability to just tide us over for a little bit? If they do, I mean, this is all speculation, so it can't be unfair, but if there is someone if a short-term funding option is someone putting money into the club, is that because they're going to donate this, or are they going to loan us it? And if they loan it, are we not in another position of having to repay money that we don't have again? And who knows? But I just find it interesting. This thing comes out, this little update on the official website. There must be a reason why they've decided randomly on a Friday near Christmas to put this out there, because it's only been a couple of weeks since that last statement came out.
It's maybe so that we can all discuss it in a cafe tomorrow morning before the game. Maybe so, you know, us football fans, we forget. Well, exactly, we forget things quickly, don't we? So maybe it's just a case, you know what, gives them something to talk about. Because, you know, I know we're joking a little bit there, but it is a serious issue. I suppose, do you know what really sums it up, right, in terms of the work that the club shop have been done in terms of sales and that, right? But when you go, the club bought in 10.2 million on 5, you know, before that, 5 years before, it bought in 5 million, which would have been the first year of COVID, wouldn't it, from memory, 2020, 21.
Yeah.
So, but we've doubled our revenue in 5 years, which probably makes sense. We've doubled our average attendance in 5 years. But last year it's we made revenue. It said this was helped by record season ticket sale numbers, a League Cup run ending at Newcastle, stronger commercial partnerships, an increase in match day attendances, donation from other members, selling more in the shop, and volunteer support helping save costs. Right? It's so when you sit, like any business, you might get a part of your remit is to sell more than you sold last year. If you're in the sales industry, so your targets are always high. What target are we going to set next year? Because we still lost money, even though we had a record year of revenue. We can't get any more in the stadium. Can we sell more than 7,000 shirts? It's in a way, you can imagine it's a business in the day. You can imagine James Woodward going in and going, right, guys, we need to do more than we did last year. And you sort of go in there like, what more? You can't get blood out of a stone. Logistically, we are probably doing everything and more that we can. And this is the challenge we've got.
Is it possible that this article is a nice, with beautiful graphics throughout it, almost bit of marketing, bit of advertising to anyone, potential investors that suddenly go, oh, let's have a look, and then they see what they can find out before formally approaching a club or asking other questions. They can just go onto the website and say, oh, right, this explains that this club seems to be in a healthy position in terms of numbers, fans coming through the turnstiles, merchandise sales, all those metrics. And they're thinking, so why have they lost this money? And it explains why. And it's a nice picture and it's kind of putting a positive slant, maybe. I don't know. As much as it can do for anyone that might be interested.
No, do you know what I mean? I've moaned for a little while that we've not done something like this. Teams like Plymouth and that have done a very, you can release your financial data, which you have to legally anyway, or you can do a summary. And Plymouth did that really well a couple of seasons ago, broke it down massively. This is, visually, I like it. For me, this is something that I would, if I wasn't heavily, I read a lot and the politics of the club and I sort of know. But actually, if I was just a football fan who's just going to games to watch football, this is really good in terms of visual. Could be a bit too long, but visually it does tell you. But the ultimate message is that we are in a healthy position in terms of revenue coming in. We just can't compete with financially inflated teams in our division. That's your problem. Match it up against most teams losing on average £5 million. We play Leyton Orient on New Year's Day. Leyton Orient are losing 100 grand a week.
Yeah.
100 grand a week. So, we can do as well as we can, everyone is working in the right direction, achieving record numbers. But we know next year we're going to have to do that again and more to even stay alongside these teams because they're going to put more, the other clubs are going to put more money into their business, aren't they? So, yeah, it's Joe White. It's nice to see how well we're doing, but it's just not enough to compete in the league that we want to be in.
Yeah, and we don't want to sort of perhaps reiterate at this point things we said before about the ownership model and what we might need to do in order to essentially survive as a football club, let alone a football league football club. We discussed this on our episode a couple of weeks ago, episode 384. If you want to search our back catalogue on Spotify and YouTube, if you've not listened to it yet. But we got some feedback from what we were saying on that podcast. I thought I'd just mention a couple of things that were mentioned. Keith Budden replied on 9yrspodcast.org, which you can all do. Add your comments there every time we release an episode. And just basically saying we're coming to a crossroads in our journey. He's been a supporter of 60 plus years. He's volunteered for the club. No, not wedded to fan ownership whatsoever. He thinks if we take the course of live with our means, we will end up losing Plough Lane. And if 50 plus 1 is the next step, let's do it. But again, as he says, if that just delayed the chance of administration, I'd just rather sell up whilst we still have some value. And that is a very good point as well. You're going to attract a lot more people as a third tier football club than you are in theory. I know people are going to say, well, Wrexham didn't do too badly, or you look at the Forest Greens of this world and people that have attracted investments. So maybe perhaps not, but I'm not sure how much debt those owners were clearing or taking on at the time of their purchases.
Yeah, my worry isn't losing Plough Lane. I think we're okay with that. My main worry is that Plough Lane would just become, well, it's a ground you've got to the upkeep of it. So as your ground gets older, of course, work needs to be done on it and stuff like that. So my worry is not losing Plough Lane. My worry is that might have a stand that might not open, or we don't open the stand because actually, do you know what? We can't. There's no point. We have to save on the stewarding costs. There's all loads of things with it, but yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? The older fan maybe want to keep the fan ownership. You know what? We've discussed the fan ownership, and I don't think we need to go down that avenue again. But the financial summary it says it all. For us to, we have to do something out of the ordinary just to stay level with people, and that's the challenge, massive challenge for us all.
As you say, as the stadium gets older, it needs a lot more work on it. Probably speak to Amanda Holden about that one. Gary also said on 9YRS podcast, he just makes a point just to say, because I know we don't want to potentially go down this line right now, but it's just interesting to hear what people think and what people say. Gary said, my dad started taking me to watch Wimbledon in the early 70s because they were my local club, not because we were fan owned. And he says, I want to see us progress, build a stadium. That's not going to happen as we stay as we are. We have a decent fan base now. It's because returning to Wimbledon is essentially what he's saying here. So I think he's again not wedded to fan ownership, but of course we know that a lot of people are, and that's absolutely fine. Some other comments we had. Sam Elliott just said it was a really good pod, and that we were both on the money with the financial mess. I mean, on the money. Not sure if you deliberate pun there, Sam, but thanks. And
no, Sam's not that switched on to do puns like that. Bless him. I'm joking.
Journalist Sam Elliott. I think.
Don't forget
I
Sam.
think he pretty.
Don't forget Sam Elliott started was one of our first journalists back in AFC Wimbledon. Do you remember?
In history,
started his ground. Well, not obviously back in 1889. He's not that old, but he started his grounding work was at AFC Wimbledon. So I think he's now doing Premier League stuff now, isn't he? So he's obviously gone to the rich part of the world.
Yeah, I remember the Normally paper, of course, for many years. Nigel Henderson also said on Facebook he is loath to give up fan ownership, but 50+1 says doesn't quite understand all the consequences of it, but it seems the best answer of a bad bunch. He says he doesn't want Wimbledon back in non-league for a third time during his 55 years of support, which is fair enough. And I think most people, we can't speak for everyone, Stu, but I think Nigel is probably reflective of a lot of people. Like loath is probably the best word. Loath to give up fan ownership. 50+1 is perhaps the way most people see the best way forward to keep fan ownership, but also alleviate a lot of the financial pressures.
But he makes a very good point in terms of, I think he says along about it doesn't know the ins and outs of what 50.1 will mean. And that's the big key to it. I think it's like going, well, 50.1 will mean that you retain fan ownership but we don't have a 51% model that Germany has. But I think when this is brought in, one, we need to know have we got an investor? Angus Fox was on Sam Warmers the other week saying that we're speaking to quite a lot of people. So, do we launch 50.1 with an investor in mind? But we need to know scenarios based. What does it mean? What does it mean? Do you know what I mean? And that's the big thing. It's not just going, let's sell down at 50.1, but is it a stopgap? Is it kicking the can down the road? Or does it make it even more awkward to potentially sell if we have no choice? But it's a very good, I'll say, we need to know more. It's not just 50.1 voting for. We need to know the details of what it actually means.
Is it 50.1, 50.01, 50.001, 50.00000? How many zeros do we actually need? At what point does it?
Everyone uses a different. Yeah.
Well, the only reason I say it is because people say 50. People have said for a long time that 50+1 because the German model has been known as 50+1,
Yeah.
And then a lot of people said, well, actually, it's 50.01. And then for me, I'm just like, well, it could be 50, as I say, it could be 50.00001. We would still retain majority control. So I think 50+1 is fine. Okay.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we tend to be sometimes in this football club, we're a little bit too clever for our own good with some of the things we come up with. 50+1 is fine. All right. Nazi Twitter Just a couple of points there. A lot of praise for the podcast as well. Graham Stacey just saying, one thing not covered, how does selling out make the club sustainable? And of course, it doesn't make the club sustainable. There's no football club in the country that's sustainable. So it doesn't. It just clears debts. It just that's basically what it is.
Yeah, it's a good point from Graham Stacey, and obviously I know he's done a lot. He's put a lot of effort into keeping that fan ownership, and by his hard work, he's right. How does it make it sustainable? We don't know. What we do know, where the wording's changed, it's not reasonably sustainable now to stay where we are. So the only club I believe that are sustainable is, I think it's either Brighton or Brentford, but that's inflated by TV revenue. No other club in the football world is sustainable. That's the thing. Do we want to be the one that isn't? Do we want to be the fan-owned movement, as I call it sometimes, or do we just want to face facts that we need to join? We need to swallow our morals. Unfortunately, none of us want to do that, but you can't beat them.
And the last one I mentioned, Richard Farrell just talks about options we've got with the stage and what perhaps other options we could do with the stadium, but he just references the third floor. I don't think this third floor exists. I think this third floor is Kettle Volaire. He never actually existed. It was all one big tax dodge. It was money laundering of some sort. And this is the same with the third floor. I don't think there is a third floor. I keep hearing about it. I never see it. There's nothing there. It just doesn't exist.
Is it AI?
It could be AI. It could be AI, Stu. It's not actually real. You can't touch it. You can't see it. People talk about it. I think I bunkum.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because the third floor, half of it is full now of offices. The club moved their offices, and it's a great space. It really is. Overlooks the ground. There's a new executive box, probably the best executive box in my opinion out of the whole lot. Yeah, I think it's a 16-seater. It's on the third floor. The view from the third floor is great, and there's a little bit of land. There's a little bit of, but like I would say 3/4 of it now are filled. So it was the myth, wasn't it? It was the myth that we had nothing on there, but it is being used. I don't know what else you could use it for. Maybe put other exec boxes in, but again, I don't know. Do we sell enough exec boxes during the week, during the match day? I've never known that stat, to be fair.
Can't see from where I'm sat.
It's above you, isn't it? You're on the posh seats.
Everything's above my head, Stu.
It's what I will say, when I've been lucky enough to sit up there, it's a great view.
Not in the minute, because you don't fucking win any games there. You're just seeing us lose.
You can see the rest of Wimbledon. You can see the flats, the apartments. You can see the planes in the background. I'm sure if you look far enough, you can see the Wembley wheel. The Wembley wheel?
The Wembley wheel.
The Wembley arch. Hey, it'd be better if it was a wheel, wouldn't it?
Stu, your implication there is that you can't see planes unless you've got a high viewing vantage point. I think famously, one thing you can see. Right. Changing tack now completely, because we talked about substitutes and the issues we've got with squad depth and everything like that. And Stu, just as a little game, I thought I would set you the question, and I've done it as well. If we went back to the good old days, when you were only allowed 3 substitutes on the bench, what prompted this was it came up on Nazi Twitter, footage of, I think it was West Ham at Everton in the mid-90s. They had their goalkeeper sent off, Ludic McCloskey. They did not have a substitute goalkeeper on the bench, so Julian Dix had to go in goal. Okay? And, the fun and games that come, like Vinnie Jones doing it. We've had it back in the day. I think Danny Okins did it. Luke Garrard, I remember doing it. Yeah, great fun when that happens. Yeah, love it. Everyone loves it, because at the end of the day, football is entertainment. It's meant to be fun. All right. You remember when an outfield player has to go in goal. You remember those games. There are thousands of games you will never remember in your life. If you go back, Stu, what was the score when we played Barnet at home in 2015-16? What was the score when we played Barnet at home? No, exactly. No. No one fucking remembers that game. So, this is what I mean. But had we had an outfield player gone in goal, you'd remember it. You'd remember AFC Hornchurch at home in the Ryman Premier League because Luke Garrard had to go in goal. All right, you see? Anyway, if we were to go back, though, to those days, 3 subs on the bench, doesn't have to be a goalkeeper. in 2025, if AFC Wimbledon's current squad is all fully fit, what would your starting 11 be, and who would your 3 subs be? Because I think having fewer subs on the bench influences the starting 11 that you go with.
Yeah. So I'm going to go through my team then.
Yeah.
It's pretty no different to yours in terms of Bishop in goal, the Sinway Seddon fullbacks, Lewis, Johnson, Ogden, Deer. So I play a 5-3-2 or 3-5-2.
Yeah.
Reeves, Smith, and Hippolyte in the middle, and Omar Bigel and Matty Stevens. Is that exactly what you've done?
That's exactly my team.
we haven't told each other what's.
No, we're finding this out at the same time as you are. Yeah, but what's your rationale for that starting 11?
Well, it's the strongest team. It's got
Is it though?
It's got adaptability. So I think this is the difference in it. You know, Hippolyte can play a bit further forward if need be. Boogan playing a 10. There's different ways you can play within that team. You could probably change it to a 4-4-2. Because obviously, without the the multiple subs that you would normally have, you've then got to have players that are versatile, which sort of influences my bench as well.
I would just say the one potential area where people might look at and go if everyone's fit. So Stevens and Buglers are front 2. And my logic here, because this is where I think there might be some disagreement with, because what I would say is that starting 11, we're a little bit, again, pace is a bit of a problem. But I think if you've got Matty Stevens, you have to have Matty Stevens in that team because he scores goals. And but we need more physical presence up front. So that's why I'd go with Omar to partner him for the starting team and play 65, 70 minutes or whatever. And then you've got the options from the bench. Who were your 3 on the bench? Do you know what? I'm pretty certain they're going to be the same 3 that I've chosen.
Well, I didn't go with a goalkeeper because when you've got 3 subs, there's just absolutely no point. Because how many times this is very right. I was going to say to you, if there wasn't ever a reserve goalkeeper on the bench, Richard Wright would have no career.
There you go.
He spent a whole career winning medals for Man City for never playing. He was a training ground goalkeeper, wasn't he? So
doesn't he present that show on Channel 5 in the mornings? That's Matthew Wright, sorry.
So my subs would be Roy Harbottle, Aaron Sassu.
Oh, okay.
And Marcus Brown.
Oh, okay. We've disagreed on one. Okay.
I can tell what we've disagreed on.
you know who I've gone for instead of Sassu.
Who?
Hackford.
Can I just be honest with you? I totally forgot about Hackford.
Amazing.
Because he hasn't played for so long. He's sort of like, he's in my Brody Hughes department.
Yeah, the Bermuda Triangle of AFC Wimbledon players. But you know what? Sassu arguably makes more sense than Hackford because, as you say, despite it perhaps not being best for him, Sassu can play in a couple of other positions.
And that's my rationale. He's played 4 different positions this season. So you need players, and Hackford is simply a forward.
He's a centre forward, nothing else. Yeah.
Marcus Brown can play in a 10, he can play up front, he can play in midfield. Harbottle, you could chuck in centre midfield if you needed to. He could play, as you just said, he played at wing. He played on the left-hand side. Exeter can play in the middle, got a long throw. But it also, what you've got to match up against is that the other teams, of course, have got to have 3 subs as well. So all of a sudden your squad depth challenge reduces, which is why, this is why the Manchester United as well, Liverpool wanted 5 subs, because it basically helps the teams with better squads.
Yeah, with better resources. But I think, I don't think it'd be interesting to see if anyone massively disagrees with what you and I have said there. I can't imagine it would be. But what I always think is interesting at this point then is when you look at this squad and you go, okay, right, well, who are the biggest ones to miss out? So from looking at my team, well, between the 2 of us, one of Sassu and Hackford is missing out.
Yeah.
Immediately. Orsey's not involved whatsoever.
Yeah, Bauer
gets nowhere near. Hutchinson, Foyo, Maycock. Not
Hackford, Splat.
Splat. That's the one I was meant to say as well. Yeah. So it just shows you do you know what would be beneficial and would make things much better on every single level? Because obviously Joe McDonald misses out as well. Maybe if we brought reserve team football back, that would solve most of this problem.
Do you know what I was just going to say when you were saying about the players that are missing out? I'm going, well, that's why we need 5 subs. Because we need more subs on the bench. However, if we had a full strength team, we would be fine.
Yeah, well, yes.
Because the players we are missing are not key players, but influential players.
I mean, yeah, I mean, they are key players. Like, imagine, again, I don't mean to rag on the guy. That's not what I'm doing here. But on Tuesday night, Horsey played 70 minutes and we replaced him with Maycock. In another universe, that's Matty Stevens playing 70 minutes and Anton Hackford coming on.
Anton Hackford not playing is really, he got 5 goals this season already?
4 or 5.
Yeah, and the goals he's scored have been at a level that have been like, wow. There's no doubt that the reason why he's with us, let's be honest with you, the reason why with us and not with Sheffield United is that maybe because of his injury record. But that's natural with players that have explosive pace, hamstring injuries and stuff. So we have to hope that as he gets older, that sometimes does stop a bit. But yeah, there's no doubt. Like, I forgot about him, which is a bit bad for him. But that's the problem because he's been in and out, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But he's a game changer. We don't have many of those.
And like I say, the chance that Omar had on Tuesday night, if that's Hackford's away. They're not catching him.
You're right. I thought Omar done okay with that though.
Oh no, he did fine. Yeah.
Could he have centered it? Also, was running alongside. I think you say the forward puts it on target. We haven't spoke about the big thing was Maycock missing. I don't know if you've seen it, but Maycock missing the header at the end.
Oh no!
It's one of those goals, right? That an ugly centre forward like a Tony Cascarino or Ian Ormeroyd. Do you remember Ian Ormeroyd, the most awkward, gangly footballer ever in the world? They get their head smashed and they score that.
Yeah,
because they don't care about what their face looks like. It's already fucked. But that was again those little chances. Omar in that situation, you probably think he gets a flick and goes in, but it is what it is, isn't it? It is what it is.
It is what it is. Should we mix things up with a game of festive Richard Osman Foyer's House of Games?
Festive, yes, yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Hopefully I've been able to find the jingle with the festivities, the church bells or whatever in the background. If not, well, you'll know. You're listening to this already, so you already know if I've managed to do that. And if I haven't, it's the bog standard one. But it is a festive-themed game this week, and it is a festive answer smash, where I ask you 2 questions, and you just have to smash the answers together into one. Okay? Neil Cox's Pairs was the original version we did of this many years ago on the podcast. So the first one is a traditional Christmas carol about a quiet evening and the surname of a former Wimbledon centre-half who now plays at Aldershot.
So it was Silent Night. Silent Night, Will Nightingale. No. Silent Nightingale.
There we go. Silent Nightingale.
Yes.
Next one, bird eaten at Christmas. And midfielder / defender who scored in our first ever CCL game at Sandhurst Town.
Turkey Ward. No, was it Keith Ward that scored the goal? Yes, it was. Turkey Ward. Yeah, no.
Not Turkey Ward.
Turkey
You have to
Keith
smash it
Ward.
all together. No.
Turkey.
Yeah, just smash Turkey with Keith.
Turkey Keith.
No, not Turkey
Ward.
Keith.
Turkey Ward.
Turkey Keith is my hairdresser.
Turkey Ward, then, isn't it?
No.
Turkey Ward.
There, so go on one more time.
Turkey Ward.
There we go. Turkey Ward. We got there. Next one. Nighttime service on as Christmas Eve turns into Christmas Day, and the surname of former attacking midfielder now playing in Qatar.
Midnight Masao.
Very good.
Sounds like an Indian dish, doesn't
it? Well, you're thinking masala, yeah.
Yeah,
maybe.
Which isn't an Indian dish. It actually was created in England, Scotland. Sorry.
Apparently so. But we might have just created a new Christmas tradition called Midnight Masala, where everyone has a curry.
That'd get rid of your flu, wouldn't it?
Well, possibly some bird flu, maybe. Who knows? Right. Right. Okay. These ones are a bit tricky to get the clues across properly for them to work. Let's start with this one. Okay. We used to have a song for a striker that scored lots of goals. The striker used to play for Southend and he now plays for Folkestone. So I want the first 3 words of that song. Okay. And then the second part is sausages wrapped in bacon.
Feed the piglets.
Not quite. What are they called?
Feed the pigs in blankets.
Very good. Feed the pigs in blankets. Starting to think I should be monetizing this somehow. Takes quite a lot of time and effort to think these things through.
I can imagine.
Oh, man. Okay, this one. Let's try this one. First 5 words of a hymn written by G.R. Woodward. I might help you out with some of the other lyrics in that song to get us there. And the second part is current AFC Women's centre half wears number 33. So you can do that half quite easy.
Ogundere.
There we go. Yeah. You'll need his full name for this though, right?
Mr. Ogundere.
Yeah, Mr. Ogundere, that's the one. Although we don't know that. He might.
What's his pronouns?
Exactly, we don't know. Never assume. The first part, the first 5 words of the hymn. The first 5 words we need to find. The next part, after those first 5 words, it carries on with "In heaven the bells are ringing." So what comes before that? You do know it. I think I'm just struggling to answer the question in a good way. Because I don't know if anyone knows it was written by G.R. Woodward. If anyone actually knows that, please let us know.
They've got to get out. They've got to get out more.
Well, possibly, yeah.
Well, I like
What's that song that goes? Or maybe I like Christmas too much. Well, you can't like Christmas too much, surely. But well, let's not go down that route. Yeah. So that song, it's something, 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 something. In heaven, the bells are ringing. What's that song?
I haven't got a foggiest. This is probably one for our listeners to work out. I haven't got a foggiest. I'll give him a helping hand. It's Isaac Ogundere is the second part.
That is the second part. Okay, here's a clue. The first 2 words of the first part. What if you go around someone's house and you press the bell? What traditional sound might it make? What do we call that? Yeah, but not a ring. There's something else.
A chime.
Be the most painful thing we've ever done.
What does it do? Problem is, you have ring bells now, don't you? You have they do all different rings now, don't they?
What's a word that rhymes with ring?
Ding. Ding a ding ding ding.
No.
This is like give us a clue. This is like a game of charades that is not going really too well.
No, it's really not. I mean, let's try. I'm going to try one more thing because I think once you get this other word, the first word is ding. The second word is like ding, but you change the vowel.
Sing.
No, that's changing a consonant. Where is Rachel Riley when you need her?
I think we open it. Joe, what? I think we open this up to our listeners.
Okay. All right. We'll come back to it.
Can I just say, by the way, right? You know, you were talking about Christmas carols. I don't know if anyone's, and this is probably not politically correct, but I'll go for it, right? On my Instagram feed the other day, Jingle Bells come up with an Indian person singing it. Yeah. It made me howl. If anyone hasn't seen it, just put in there Indian Christmas songs, and you will laugh your head off. It's the most. My wife hated me last night because she went to bed singing it.
Just last night?
Yeah, she normally gets annoyed, but this was proper annoyed.
Thank you for that tip. I shall check it out, but only if you get the final one correct. But this one's a nice one.
Correct first.
Yes. Okay. So CCL goalkeeper not known for talking, and then the second part is 2-word most famous 2-word Yuletide greeting.
Ray, Merry Christmas.
what a beautiful way to finish this week's festive edition of Richard Osman Foyer's House of Games.
I did have to think that because I'm thinking, what goalkeeper never talked? But then, of course, what a name, what a surname. Don't be happy, be merry.
The irony, because he never looked merry in any way, shape, or form, to be honest with you. He looked miserable most of the time, if I remember correctly. Anyway, right, we are playing Playersfield Town on Saturday. I might have mentioned this, Stu, at 12:30.
What time? 12:30. Make sure you're not late.
Disgrace. It's a disgrace. It ruins everything. My routines are thrown completely out of whack by these daft kickoff times. Well, the only thing I want to say about Playersfield is that Nigel Clough is still in charge. He's been there for a long time. They are falling down the table quite rapidly after 4 consecutive defeats, and they lost 1-0 at home to Bolton in the week. They also have a minor, by this major, injury crisis, and they've got a lot of names out. They will be joined on the touchline this weekend by Reece Oates, who was sent off against Bolton and therefore suspended. 3-game ban he got.
Wasn't a great tackle. It was one of those where he went over the ball. They were trying to argue that where he tackled, he went over the ball, but then his foot went over the ball and then into a player's shin.
Yeah.
But it was a terrible challenge. It was a straight red, easy.
Nigel Clough said he slipped.
Yeah,
he accused the referee of not having any common sense.
The problem is, you look at it, he slipped because he slipped over the ball, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So he went over the ball, but that is, in nowadays, if you go over the ball and your studs are showing, it wasn't a nice challenge. It wasn't a nice challenge.
No, and clearly it's a red card. It's been upheld.
And why would we have any sympathy for Mansfield if we remember when, what was our Welsh, Chris Gunter? Do you remember he got sent off at Mansfield?
He did.
So I'm sorry, there was no sympathy there.
Fair enough. Well, no, we can't give them any sympathy either because, as you say, they've still got some very good players in their squad, and of course they've got Deji Oshilaja and Ryan Sweeney, who shall be returning to Wimbledon this weekend. They've still got Lewis Akins, Lewis Akins and Will Evans, and good players, but a number of first teamers out. So, given that they are in poor form and they all want to arrest the slide, and that we're in poor form and struggling, I think this game, Stu, has got draw written all over it.
Well, as it's a 12:30 kickoff, and you reminded me our last 12:30 kickoff was when we beat Wickham, I think we're going to win. We just have to turn up to win the game. That's whoever turns up, win the game. Do you know what? No, in all seriousness, Mansfield, they've only in terms of us being 9, the only team they beat above us positional wise is Luton. They won 2-0 at Luton Town. But they've got a lot of injuries. Last time we played them, remember, late Ronan Curtis goal, beat them 2-1. And if we remember properly, their assistant manager tried to attack one of our fans.
You mentioned this last week.
Lost his head completely, and he has no hair, so he just lost his head, bald head. But yeah, it got a bit feisty last year. But I've got a feeling we're going to win simply because of the 12:30 kickoff. I have no other logic in that. I'm just thinking the football gods love a 12:30 kickoff for us. So there we go. But look, in all seriousness, we've got to at least get a draw. We can't lose again at home. We've got to try and make this place a fortress. So we're going to need the points from them.
Yeah, I can't see us lose. I shouldn't say this, should I? But I can't see us losing this game. If it's not a draw, we are the most likely, I think, to win the game. But who knows? We'll see what 11 we can put on the field.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? We just don't know. Like I say, the interview with Johnny says that the illness is still, the bug is still going around the ground, and he's isolated some people to, like I say, if it's a bad flu bug, it does reduce your fitness levels, your energy levels, isn't it? So we just need to see what that team lineup is and what our bench looks like. Hopefully it's a bit stronger. Obviously, Ryan Johnson's back after his suspension. But I also believe, obviously, we get into this period where the 5 bookings comes into effect. Yeah. And I think we've got a few. I think we've got Jake Reeves, probably Joe Lewis, because how many bookings did Joe Lewis pick up for Moaning? So we've got to be careful with that, because we can't go into Northampton with a reduced squad if we've got injuries and illness.
Elsewhere in the division, it's a big day for travelling. So Leighton Orient have to travel to Barnsley. Exeter have to go all the way up to Bolton. Reading are going to Bradford. Rotherham make the trip to Plymouth. Stevenage have to go to Stockport. Pick of those ones, Stu. I think I shall pick. Do you know what? I actually don't care. I'm like, it's as long as it's like we're in a bit of a bad run, so we just need to look after ourselves this week. I think I'm looking around these fixtures. I'm thinking, does anything strike me particularly that bothers us in any real way, shape, or form? Not really.
No, no, you're right. I suppose Plymouth Rotherham interests me a little bit because Plymouth obviously winning their game.
Yeah.
All the sort of stuff around Plymouth fascinates me at the moment with that. And I suppose Stockport County Stevenage. The Stevenage are not out of form, but they're just they're a bit sticky at the moment. So it's probably a game. It's probably I'd fancy them to win that because I just think Stockport County, good team, but they just have if a team stifles them, they struggle. You watch Stockport win at about 5-0 now.
It would be something if they did, because I know you mentioned Stevenage are on a bit of a bad run, but they still don't really concede goals. They don't score goals either. And that's Exeter's problem still. And I would still wager that we would finish above Exeter come 46 games at the end of the season anyway. Updates from the game with Playersfield Town will be on Nazi Twitter at 9YRS podcast. Is there anything else we want to say before we sign off this week, Stu?
Don't forget the Don't Trust AGM.
How did I forget that?
Monday the 15th at Plough Lane. I think it's a half seven start. That's when the AGM went.
They brought it forward to 2:30 for TV.
Can you imagine that? For international viewers, we brought it through to loads. So they got evening watch. They're going to watch it in the evening. But yeah, AGM when the new Don't Trust board members are put in, and the ones that are leaving are thanked. And I think within that financial summary article that's been released on the OS, they actually said that they actually linked in a Don't Trust AGM for people who want to ask questions. And but as we know, the last one there was nothing on the finances, and they were released then. So yeah, it's difficult. This one before Christmas is always a low attendance one, which I know you'll laugh at because it's normally low attended anyway, but even lower than the lower attendances.
Yeah, it's just an awkward time of year for a lot of people, as we've said in the past. But this is the cycle that we work to, so there we have it. You asked me a question there, Stu. I might have an answer for you. Wimbledon will take on West Ham United under-21s. Bit of an insult, really, to us. In the next round of the B-Team Trophy. It will take place in January. And it says here, West Ham were actually drawn at home.
Yes.
But they have been granted dispensation to play the tie away, which suggests that
because of ground ship.
Well, possibly, but it suggests that if they wanted it to, they could have played it at a venue of their choosing, be that the London Stadium or wherever else they play. For instance, you mentioned last week they play at Dagenham and Redbridge.
Redbridge, I think, was their
women's team.
Yeah, that's cool then, because like I say, we remembered that we did play Chelsea. Obviously, Chelsea were desperate for the money at that point and decided to open up Stamford Bridge for us. But yeah, it's Joe, and also it's a good chance. They're the only under-21 team. And also, if you want to laugh, Nick, I don't know if you've seen this. Colchester missed a last-minute penalty against West Ham under-21s this week.
Oof.
The follow-up is even worse than the penalty. It is literally like Billy Smart's circus. It's hilarious. It was like Colchester wanted a reason not to score, and they want to make it look as realistic as possible.
Nice.
It's just comedy. Have a look if you haven't seen it.
I'll check it out as soon as we log off here. But yeah, okay, great. Well, then, other than that, that is us. Is that us until Christmas now, or will we be back next week, or we're not sure at this moment in time?
Hey, look, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Let's see what state of mind we're in after Saturday.
If we are back next week, you will, of course, know about it. If we're not back next week, you can assume that we've been off hobnobbing somewhere with Brodie Hughes, and you will never be able to find us. Might be on the 3rd floor of Plough Lane. We can't confirm or deny. But thank you, Stu, for joining me this week.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. If you did manage to get the answer to the Richard Mafoyo's House of Games answer smash that we couldn't get to, then please do tweet us on Nazi Twitter at 9wirus Podcast, or message us 9wiruspodcast.org on the website, or email us 9wirus at may14.co.uk. Aside from that, Alexa Bliss, bag first, milk last, 2 + 2 = 4. And we shall speak to you again in the future sometime.